Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to give you Data Factory pipelines to migrate data from datalake Gen1 to Gen2. So previous video, I covered majority on what is pipeline, what is a data set, how to create a pipeline, how to copy data from Gen1 to Gen2. So you can refer that video. It's a Data Factory part 3. Then earlier part 2 and part 1 videos also available in my channel. Then today video, how we can copy multiple files. So the part 3 video, we covered how to copy single file from Gen1 to Gen2. Now today's video, we will understand what is get metadata activity and how to process multiple files using a looping, that is a for each. Then filtering files or folders, and then processing, or you can say copying multiple files, that we will understand today. So let's start with the data factory. So if you go to data factory, where you can find the left side menu, author, where we can developer majorly create pipelines and data sets. Okay, and manage administration section, where we can create link services for sources and targets. Integration runtime, for default Azure will be there. We can create a self-hosted integration runtime, okay, based on the demand and requirement basis. Even we can create a triggers, nothing but schedulers. Similarly, Git integration also is available. Even migration also, ARM template is available. So let's start with, again, we'll continue with how to migrate Gen1 to Gen2 with multiple files. So for that, what I'll do, I'll create a new pipeline. Gen1 to Gen2 migration. Okay, so same pipeline already available. Okay, I'll create another pipeline. Then minimize this. Then the first step is, first we need to get files in the data lake Gen1. How many files are available? Or maybe folders are available also. You need to get that metadata. For that, we have an activity called get metadata. If you go to general activities, you can find an activity name called get metadata. Just drag and drop that to a pipeline working area or a design area. If you want to minimize, you can minimize this. You'll get a more space. Then this is the activity, get metadata activity. And we can change this activity, get metadata. I can say get files. So if you want to process multiple files, first you should know how many files are there. Even if you have a folders, if you have a files like a condition based, which we can get those, we can filter some files or some folders. If you don't need that I'll explain now. The get metadata activity, looking when you look at here, general and setting tab. Setting tab, it's need a data set, which we need to create a new data set for this. Like when we are copying using a copy activity, right? Copy activity also need a data set. Even get metadata also need a data set. So we are going to get a data, nothing but get a files from data lake Gen1. So we need to create a data set on top of data lake Gen1. So go to here, data sets, create a new data set, select Azure Data Lake Gen1. So when we are looking for metadata, you can use a binary format. So when copy also, we can use binary format. Getting metadata also, we can use binary format. So data set, Adls Gen1, get metadata. Select the link service and browse from which folder you are looking for, like one folder. If you have one folder, within that multiple files are available. I'll show you that data lake Gen1. This is my data lake Gen1 account. She's having multiple folders and multiple files. From there, landing. So here, see, you can find multiple files, multiple folders as well. So in this parent, this Oracle Labs is a parent folder. Like multiple files are there, nothing but the child items. Even some child items has a folders also available. So if you go to get metadata activity, select a parent folder as Oracle Labs. Okay, inside this, I want this metadata. Okay, inside this, I want metadata from this location, Select this data set under get metadata. This one. So here we need to provide a field list, which information you are looking from. So we are looking from the data lake, file name, file type, so that information. So child data means like that's a parent folder. It is having a multiple files, multiple folders, right? Child items means you will get a complete information. Even that parent folder is available or not. What is the folder name? What is that type? Is that folder or file? So that also we can get it. Even when it is last modified, when it is last modified. Okay. So we can get this information from the data lake Gen1. So for testing, you can debug this. You can verify. So is it going to get the metadata from data lake? So metadata, get metadata, name itself is there. It is going to get the metadata. So once you run any activity under output, you can find this uh, input and output. So we can find the output under output section. Once you click on this, output will be in a JSON format. The folder is available. The folder name is this. Type is folder. Last modified data is this. Inside that folder, it is having a file. Then folders also. So, but in this, I don't want to take that folders. I want only files. So if you want to filter only files in this get metadata, so how we can filter that? So there is an activity called, if you go to iterations and control, so there is an activity called filter. Drag and drop this. So once you get the metadata, if you want to filter, then give this activity output to filter activity. So in filter activity, we can use input as previous activity output. So how to give that? Go to the settings. So there's items here. Option is item. Items means array. Array means more than one value. So get metadata is a activity. We are getting output as an array, nothing but child items, multiple values. In a square bracket, we'll call it as in Python list. It's array. Click on this dynamic content. Go to the get metadata, child items. So at the rate activity, your activity name dot output dot child items. The child items, we are giving input to the filter. In the child items, if you go and verify properly, child items, it is there in an array. Inside that, again, dictionary, key value pair. One key value pair is a name, file name. The file name will get that type of file type. It's a file or folder, object or it's a file or folder. So that information which we can find here. So that we need to filter in condition. Previous activity output, we will give an input to that filter. Then we can filter that using a condition base. So multiple functions are available, which we can filter based on condition. So we can use equals to function. So equals to is a function. So if that item type is full, if the item type is full, then we want that files. One is item dot type. So equals to need a, just I'll give a syntax. Equals to is a function. If we have a 1, 2, 1, 2, so it will return false. Why? Equals to always both arguments should have the same value. If first argument is 1, second argument is 2, it will return false. Consider if equals is having 1, 1. So both are having a, both arguments is having a 1, 1. So it return true. If both are same, it will return true. Okay. So equals to is a function. It's needed 2 arguments. The first argument is we are taking from input. If that file or folder, we'll get that item as a type. And then if both are same, then it will return true. Okay, let's debug this. So previous activity output we are taking and we are filtering only files. We are filtering only files. Let's verify. So we'll get a metadata, get metadata as output. Like if you look at the child item, name and type. We are using a type. If type is file, if satisfied, get this information. Okay, ignore these folders. Now go to this output. If you look at this, out of file items, 3 items are folders, remaining 9 items are files. We are getting only files using this. Even that output also again array. Value, child item, we are giving as input. Then the filter is condition basis. It filtering that output and giving output as only files, ignoring folders. Even the output also you see output dot value, it's an array. So if you have a multiple files, if you want to loop one by one, we have an activity called for each looping. So this filter output, we can give an input to this for each. So you can change this filter name if you want to change filter files. Okay. Now the for each need input, nothing but your filter is giving some output, right? And only files, that files will give it to that for each. So go to the for each and items. So give that previous activity output here. What is the output? Output dot value. The value is array. So array means for loop in a Python need a multi-valued item or sequence item. So array is a multiple values. So which we can loop one by one. So here similar way, the for each is going to take input as multiple values and it can process one by one. So inside this for each, you can call copy activity. But in that copy activity, we need a data sets. That data set should be dynamic data sets to copy multiple files. Okay. Gen1 to Gen2. So go to the source data set, create a new data set with the dynamic data set. So create a new data set for Gen1, Azure Data Lake Gen1, binary copy, DS, Adls Gen1, source, dynamic, binary. Okay. So dynamic is nothing but parameterized data set. So I'm going to create parameterized data set. So if you go to the data set level, you can create a parameter. You can provide the parameter name, consider file name. The folder name we will give a static, and here I'll give a dynamic as this parameter. Remember. Then the folder name which you can give from where you are getting that, which folder. Even that also we can create a dynamic. That we'll see that later inside this folder. So inside this landing, inside this Oracle Labs, we'll get a file name dynamically. Similar way, another data set, sync data set, Azure Data Lake Gen2, binary copy, DS, Adls Gen2, target, dynamic, so binary data set. Okay. Then select the location where you want to inside a data lake, RA is the folder. I want to copy those files here. Okay. Only one file is available if you look at that. Here also I'll create a data set level parameter. Any parameter name, you can say parameter name, consider target file. So if you go to this dynamic data set content, so that path level, if you go to the file name, click on dynamic content, provide that parameter name. So this data set, two data sets are dynamic data set now. So parameterized data set. So if it is parameterized data set, whenever you call this, it will expect that input because it's a parameterized. So now if you call that data set here, this is data lake Gen1. So it is expecting the input. The input will give from for each. For each is getting that name, file name. So give that file name. That's all. Similarly, go to the sync data set, select and provide the same file name, because when you are copying the file, so same file if you are looking for, keep the same name. So we are getting a file name from for each. How we will get a for each? From filter. So get metadata, filter only files from that file. So looping one by one and using copy activity inside that. This copy activity will copy multiple files dynamically based on input. So you can publish everything. Meantime, we can go to verify here. So here, how many files are there? So total 9 files are available. Go to the target, which is the data lake Gen2. This is data lake Gen2, not this one. Under storage accounts. Yeah, this one. So inside this container, there's a container called data lake. And inside that there is a folder called raw. So currently one file is available. I'll delete this file to show you that is it moving multiple files or not. Okay. Now, so there is a trigger option and debug option. So if you want to process parallelly, you can trigger now. So same copy activity can run multiple times parallelly. Whenever you use a trigger now, you can't find an output here. You have to go to monitor. This is the monitor. You can expand. This is the monitor. Go to the pipeline rights under trigger. So just now it is trigger. So that pipeline, you see this is the pipeline. Inside that we have a multiple activities. Let's understand these activities if you look at this. First, get files, get metadata. Then filtering, only files we are filtering. Then looping one by one. One by one, we are using same copy activity 9 times because 9 files are available. Same copy activity, it's used 9 times. So it's processed all the files parallelly. Let's refresh here. You see? So what is happening? So most of the people think that ADF is a code-free ETL tool. But if you want to understand any ETL tool, if you have any programming language fundamentals, knowledge or experience, then you will understand very easily. So whatever I've implemented, this is a pure basics of Python. Okay, consider if you have a list, it is having multiple values. Okay, then if I have a function, if function is parameterized, okay, then I'll take each value. Okay, then I'll return a plus 10. So what we are doing here, this function is parameterized and these values are multiple values. I want to loop one by one. If you want to loop one by one, what you can do, you can use a for loop. So for loop, then input as a list. Then you read each value and give input to this. So what will happen here? It will take 1 plus 10, it will return 2 plus 10, 3 plus 10. So this function is parameterized. So when the function is parameterized, whenever you call that function, it will expect the input. So that we are giving a variable, the variable single value item. This is item. So this is items. This is items. This is item. So your for loop need items as input, but it will return output as item. Same thing is happening in for each also. So item, the variable name may be anything, but item means one value. Items means multiple values. So input is multiple values. So if you go to data factory, if you observe carefully, your for each need, if you go to other, for each input, your sin is items, but it's items, multiple values. So your filter is giving items. Filter is giving output dot value and array. Array is nothing but list multiple values. In that again key value pair. So key value pair means item dot type we are referring. Item dot type. So that we are referring here. So I gave example as a function. Now instead of function, I'm using as a copy activity. So this copy activity dynamic data set. So dynamic data set means parameterized data set. Parameterized data set means it is expecting some input. So we are giving that input. Item.name. So item.name is a file name which we are getting from for each. So for each will get from filter. Filter will get from get metadata. So here the 3 activities, get metadata to get metadata. Name itself is there. Filter, condition based, you can do any filtering. Then for each looping. Same thing. If you know Python, so it is like a dynamic copy activity. We are calling the same copy activity multiple times inside a loop, that is a for loop. Based on the input, the input is for each is need input, that is items. Item is nothing but array, list of values. Okay, so not only this ETL tool, any ETL tool, if you want to understand more detail level, you should have at least one programming language basics. If you know Python, entire ADF is Python. If you know Python, Entire ADF is very easy if you know Python or any other basic fundamentals of programming language. Variables, parameterization, functions, looping, conditions. Same thing is applicable for any ETL tool. So same thing we implemented using ADF without writing any code. But how we will understand that? So if you have a basic understanding of any programming language, so Python is a very easiest language which you can learn like English. So if you know Python, you can understand any ETL tool, not only ADF, any ETL tool. So ADF is code free, but the backend, the process, that way we implement, everything is like a programming language. So today video, primarily we focused on how to process multiple files using copy activity. That copy activity is a parameterized datasets, dynamic dataset with the help of looping. So first we are getting metadata, we are filtering files, then we are looping one by one. Inside that we are using copy activity. So this way which we can copy multiple files from Gen1 to Gen2. So next video what we will do, we will understand how to copy data files from on-premises to cloud. That is called self-hosted integration runtime, how to migrate data from on-premises to cloud. That we will understand in next video. Thank you. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel and see you in another video. Thank you. See you in another video.